Honoring you this day, all of you, and acknowledging the thinning of the veils. And so what does that mean when people speak of the veils being thin? So during this time, as we're entering also into the Scorpio, as we're descending into the internal winter time, whether or not you live in a place that life cycle naturally comes into a dormancy during this time, but understanding that on a global level, I believe that there is this thinning of the veils, and the veils being almost this membrane that we can permeate, but that in some way also holds the unseen in this other realm, and holds our ancestors. Hello, everyone. And so during this time, as we're entering into Samhain, or Halloween, the Day of the Dead, Dia de los Muertos, is coming up. And I've been thinking a lot about ancestors and exploring what are the lineage, where have I come from? What does this body come from? Who are those beautiful beings that are between the veils that have passed on in my lineage? And so I encourage everyone to do a little research if you haven't already. And what I've been finding as I've been exploring my ancestors and reaching out to family members, instead of just going to the deposit bank, which would be like the great grandmothers and grandfathers, is a lot of us don't have access to those memories anymore as those beautiful matriarchs pass on through. And so it's really beautiful to see how the family is able to hold different pieces. And so as I reach out to my family members, I'm getting little snippets and stories of ancestors and names and clippings from art, news articles. And so it's really a nourishing process. And I encourage that for all of you. We have Lisa says, my Aunt Rosemary made her journey home today. Oh, wow. It's a powerful day. It's my husband's birthday today. So Samhain and Halloween is a really powerful time for us. So to honor that, I wanted to explore today. I wanted to get into teachings about how to create space, how to honor our ancestors. And I'm noticing that my reception is pretty shoddy, huh? And so one of the ways that I have been choosing, like I've said, to honor my ancestors is by actually doing research and finding on a very grounded, tangible thread names, like the power of speaking their names, the power of, if there's pictures that you have, getting those printed out, making an altar. So I decided to be here. This is in my gathering space, my temple room, and I have this altar starting to happen. And on this weekend, what we're doing is we're having an ancestors feast. And this is also something that I suggest if you want to bring people together to in celebration of this, also this time of, though I say celebration, it's also this time of honoring grieving, honoring this transition and this journey of what moves through, and what, as I wrote a poem yesterday about growing towards death, and that is also part of the evolution of being human, is this journey towards death. So this weekend, and it's a few days, we're going to be having an ancestors feast. And something that I learned from a medicine woman was a way that ancestors and the spirits, they feed off of energy, right? And energy, especially connected to intention. And so one way that you can feed them is through creating something that's beautiful, that has lots of heart in it. And an example I was shown was that you can actually, you can carry around with you. What she had was she would carry around with her little pieces of corn, and she had a little couple rocks. And if she felt like she wanted to make an offering at a certain land piece, she would grind up these pieces of corn, which takes a lot of energy. And so it's the idea of what we put our energy towards can also be an offering for the spirits. Grinding this corn up with these two rocks, and then she would put her prayers in that for them. And to know that it was from her, she'd put a little spit in her mouth and rub that in, And then with this little offering as well, you can bring that and create these offerings. And so today I just want to honor the potency of the lineage that you have come from, a lineage of being of beings that have chosen to live, have chosen to pass life on, have chosen to the journey of surviving, and all of the memories that in some way may have passed through time themselves, but knowing that the experiences and the joys and the sorrows and the successes of your ancestors can also live through you in your being. And so today I just want to honor the in the majestic lives, the lives that have been lived, and the lives that you get to live right now. And I like this idea that we are someone's ancestor, right? So at some point, you are going to be that ancestor that hopefully someone is honoring, someone is thanking for the life that you've lived, for the journeys that you went on to continue to bring the seed of consciousness through your experience on through until the next. So I just want to say hi to everyone. And as we're talking about ancestors today, if there's anyone that you want to honor and on the thread, you're totally welcome to honor that. I know I've been getting lists of all these different ancestors in the last few days that I didn't even know about. And so my question today for the Invisibles, and for anyone else popping on that hasn't been ever sat with us, is I like to ask questions for yourself, humanity, the planet. But specifically today, being Samhain Eve, is I want to encourage that maybe if there is a question related to death, to transition, to grieving, to connecting with a deceased one, to exploring that kind of work today, I'd love to encourage that as the theme. So my question for them is if they have any suggestions on how to know if there is, I think I'm just going to make it an overall question, just if there's any teachings that they have on ancestral relationships with deceased ancestors and honoring them in this life. So that's the question. I'm going to open with this bell, and if my reception is too shoddy, please just somebody tell me, and I'll go to another room that's closer. I just wanted to be by my friend here, my friend Bear. Okay. So opening, trusting that all the teachings that come through today are here to be of greatest service to all beings in their walks in their life. Trusting that each person here knows what to believe, receive, leave, or lend any of these teachings as they come. May these teachings aid in the evolution of this planet of consciousness, of life wishing to grow and thrive upon itself. There we go. So the first question, and then if you have a question, feel free to put it in the thread and we will get to it in the order that it appears. Here we go. What if the experiences that are expressed in each unique life can be but continuations of the ripples of that first experience, somewhere far down your lifeline, your ancestral lifeline, your DNA? And why we bring this up is that what if in this life you have an opportunity to not just experience these ripples of the momentum of prayers reaching you from the past, but also as an opportunity to cast your own stones into the water, to send those prayers into the future. How would you as an ancestor in the future like to be respected, like to be acknowledged, if at all? If there is a teaching in you, if there's something that you've learned, if there's something that is dear to you now, that you wish generations down the road to know about this life, you too can send that prayer into the waters of the collective consciousness. But as for honoring those that have come before you, the best way, one of the best ways you can honor them, is by simplifying your life enough that there is space to welcome any of them that are desiring to be guidance holders for you in this life. What we mean by that is create a seat for your ancestors in your life. Not that they are demanded to sit and be present, but that if there are ancestors during this time that desire to join you, that they have a seat. It can be quite physical, actually creating a table or they're popping up. They're showing this image of, having a plate. And this is something I do too, is like I actually have a whole setup. I don't think I can show you. It'd take a lot of moving around, but I have a little chair, a little table, and I collect herbs, and we usually light a candle. And so when I want to welcome the spirits, the ancestors, to eat with us, I usually light the candle, and candles are really great holders of the unseen. So it's like almost like I like to think of it as the fire represents spirit. It represents a place where the essence of life can kind of move through. And so lighting a candle, setting the intention that that candle is able to act as a throne, as a vessel for the essence, for the spark, the luminous nature of that ancestor to move through. And then just offering them food. And, one way that I've explored too is asking them to come to me in dreams has been really helpful. So that being said, I'm going to move on to the questions. So like I said, if you want to explore a question related to the themes of ancestors, the deceased, of death, of dying, of grieving the death, this is encouraged as a theme for today. So the first question we have, let's first say hi to everyone that I haven't said hi to. Got Heather and James, we got Lisa, Eleanor, Ona. So Ona's question says, hi dear, I was going to ask a question about boundaries, but we'll stay with your theme. If you lost a loved one, either breakup, death, or something kind of parting, and memories and longing for them continue to haunt you, what is the best advice for that? We can keep this as a more collective question. All right. It's a good question, where, I believe that it's, that there are relationships that don't just walk out the door when the person walks out, that there are these layers upon layers of where we meet and where we relate with a person on the spirit plane, in the dream realm, that these threads actually can be continuously establishing themselves or renegotiating themselves. And I've definitely had to explore, this could also tie into your idea of boundaries, is how to create a welcoming environment for our ancestors and for those that have passed, but also how to honor where your healthy boundary is with those connections. because sometimes that can also, that opening up for support or connection can also sway us into possibly taking on more of the residual karma that that person may be carrying, or more of needing to help process or move through potentially some of the unmet experiences in their life. And so I'm going to ask, the invisibles want to speak too, but I really like this question, is just to remind people. So it's, if there's any way um, that, yeah, how to keep moving on with with life after some great parting. So here we go. So the thing that they're showing me, which is an interesting idea I haven't thought of, is they're showing me this idea of a death day. So this will be specifically if you're able to know, when somebody died. But they're kind of laughing. They're like, people celebrate birthdays all the time, but where's the space for death days? And so I feel like what they're kind of showing me is that if there is somebody that's been really close to you, and this, you could also ripple this into if it was the ending of a really significant relationship that played a pivotal role in your life and will forever have changed you, and maybe will forever have a piece of you feels connected to that lineage, that story, that lineage of that experience. That it's like, when did that, when is that death day? When is one of those times of transition in our lives, in our experiences, in really truly people that we love that die, and how to start, like, almost like allowing that day to be a day in the year where you can honor the transition, but also honoring that person, because that's the day that they, my husband likes to say, graduated. This experience of graduation, and how, when people graduate, it's, even relationships, it's like, even if it can be challenging and torturous, there is some form of graduation. There is something, that a lesson that's been learned, and how you can honor that transition is by remembering the importance of that lesson. Like, what did that experience teach you? How can that lesson continue to move through without having to re-go, like, I'm seeing this image of like this, getting spiraled in these dynamics, that it's like Oh dear. Here, I'm gonna go. Looks like it. Sakura. It looks like we have froze. Can anyone see me? I'm moving over here. Is anyone able to see me? It looks like I have a black screen. I'm just gonna keep going. And oh, I'm back! Awesome! In a new place. Hopefully this will be better reception. So, in exploring transitions, where was I? I kind of lost my thread of thought trying to move over. Looks like we lost a bunch of you guys too. Sorry about that. Oh, maybe I'm gone again. So let's keep moving on because I don't even know who's still here. So the next question we have, whether or not you can hear me or see me or not, let's see. I have frozen. I might need to end actually today because it looks like we're stopped. But the question I was going to get at too was, for a while now, I feel at a crossroads in my life. Oh, celebrating the day. I'm back. Okay. Oh my goodness. I don't know if you can hear me, but let's just keep going. I could probably get one more question because my daughter and a bunch of girls are going to come over to get ready for trick-or-treating in a moment. And I need to make a birthday cake, like stealthy. So for a while now, I've been feeling at the crossroads of my life, rather lost. And if I am honest, I feel like I have outgrown the life I'm currently living, as if it isn't life I'm supposed to be living. I know that sounds weird. What did you say? I know, right? Ona says, oh man, it seems like we just get juicy when you froze. I know. And I totally lost the track. I couldn't even access it again. So, say love me. It's just the last question because I need to cut it short today because of Halloween extravaganza stuff, having a little girl. So, I know that it sounds weird, but it's hard to explain. It's not suicidal or anything like that. It's just a feeling of me living a dead life at the moment, almost as if I need to start my life over my life, if that makes sense. I just don't know where to start. Well, that's Eleanor, whether or not Eleanor's here. And so, I think a lot of people can relate to this. I've definitely worked with people that are feeling that void, that, there's this word in French, joie de vivre, like this joy of life, and usually when I get to that, when I've gotten into that place, I find it's actually because I'm about to have some sort of big growth spurt. And it's almost this feeling of how to honor this going into this like void, like this place of the void, this place of this almost when life hasn't chosen itself, chosen what to turn into, like there's can be this feeling of this spaciousness, this void like energy, and so how to honor maybe creating space for yourself to go even deeper into this inner world, into this time of hibernating within, and going and finding the part of you that's in that deep part is possibly hibernating from life, and asking, and that can be a meditation, that can be going within. If you go into a cave, ask yourself your guides to send you to your inner cave, and maybe go into that cave and find a part of yourself that's possibly there wanting to move through that experience, and ask them what do they need to feel comfortable to come alive again. What is it that they're waiting for and holding out on to surface again? And what can you do from the outer life, from the conscious part of yourself, to make that happen? I'm just closing. Yeah. So I'm going to close now because everything's about to get really fast around here with kids and Halloween and birthday cakes and oh my gosh. So I want to thank everyone for popping on, whether or not you can see me, and have a beautiful Samhain. Enjoy connecting to your ancestors, meeting new ones, honoring the thin veils. Aloha.